This podcast is for individuals 18 years and older. We are not licensed psychologists, therapists, life coaches, sex coaches, etc. We are literally two humans who like to talk about sex and share stories, experiences that might be relatable to you or someone you know, so we can all become more knowledgeable in the practices of safe and fun sex. We are also learning with you as we research and grow with our audience. Trigger warnings regarding our podcast for discussions about domestic violence, sexual assault, and manipulation are discussed. Viewer discretion is advised so we can all become more knowledgeable in the practices of safe and fun sex. Okay, everybody. Welcome to More Than Missionary. We are your hosts, Christina
and Ashley.
Today, we're going to be talking about BDSM, which is something that is a huge umbrella term for many, many things. That being said, Ashley, I would love for you to kind of take the reins right now, since you are a little bit more well-versed than I am in this.
Okay, well, I just did some research figuring out, I kind of just wanted to umbrella the umbrella a little bit.
Umbrella the umbrella.
So that people can kind of see a little bit of a snapshot of what BDSM and doesn't seem so scary.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? The acronym stands for Bondage, Discipline, Dominance, Submission, Masochism, and Sadomasochism. So as you can see, the D's and the S's get swapped out for dominance and discipline, or sadism and submission, and sadomasochism. The big things that we're going to kind of go through today under BDSM is what it is, the actual definition of that letter, and rules of play, as well as safety risks and implementing it into your own life, and then we'll bring it back to you for like kinks under each one of those letterings.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that you had mentioned prior to recording today was about like safety and risks, right? Before we kind of really dive deep into this, can you kind of touch up on that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's going to be safety risks for each and every one, but a lot of them are going to be very overlapping. So I do want to go through the two models of BDSM first. So the safe, sane, and consensual model, or SSC, is going to be those who follow the SSC model emphasize safety, sticking to activities that you and your partner have designated as safe beforehand.
Okay.
So rules are very much implemented here. It's very much, you can do this, you can't do this. And with risk-aware consensual kink model, or RAC model, those who follow the RAC model believe that the word safe is problematic because many BDSM activities are inherently risky. They argue that the responsibility for determining risk tolerance lies with each individual, making explicit consent even more crucial.
Okay.
So it's more like, this is what I'm into, this is what you're allowed to do, but there's no, like, this is how the scene is going to go. Like, there's no going outside of these things.
It's not as strict.
Yeah.
It's like more gray.
Yeah.
There's more gray area to play around with,
I think
should say.
Also with that rack model, I think for me, I'm more of that.
You're more of that? Okay.
But I think that follows more of a exploratory.
Yeah, like if you don't know what you like kind of thing, so you can kind of...
Well, I mean, sometimes you know what you like, but sometimes, you know, your partner throws in something else, and you're like, oh, maybe I do like that too.
That's a good point. Yeah, like sometimes you don't really, like your partner can include things that they enjoy that might not be on that list of yours. So...
But that's why check-ins are super important.
Yeah, especially when you're doing, what is it, the rack model?
The rack model.
The rack model. I did not know that. That is something that's very new to me, that there were multiple definitions of BDSM like that.
Yeah, I didn't know that there was two models of play either.
I think that's very interesting. I'm curious to see what our audience members think of that. Like, did they know? Did you guys know that? Like, if you guys do, just like, let us know. So with, you have your two different models. Obviously, like I said, this is a very nuanced and very nuanced topic, right? So it's like you have this umbrella term for BDSM, or these two, this umbrella term with these two different types of definitions. And then within that umbrella, there's more umbrellas.
Yes.
So what we wanted to talk about today was, we'll talk about the overview of BDSM, but then there's kinks of that BDSM. And then there's kinks of those kinks in BDSM. And we're not going to go too far into it, but we definitely wanted to get basic overview of this topic, because we will have multiple episodes talking about BDSM in this. So that being said, I wanted to talk about some of the kinks of BDSM. Mm-hmm. So I found this awesome thing online, and it's called the Periodic Table of Kinks. Okay, I'm gonna show our YouTube viewers what this looks like. I will also we'll add this in the show notes for you guys, so if you guys want to take a closer look at it. So this model was created in 2014. You can see.
But it was publicized in 2020, right?
The one that I found in that article was published in 2020. Okay. I think there are other ways that you can find this, from older articles and stuff, but for what I was looking up, this is what popped up, and I thought it was awesome. I'm wow, as somebody who's a visual learner like myself, this is very helpful. So if you are also a visual learner, which if you're on our YouTube watching this, maybe that's what's best for you. But we will definitely include this for you to take a look at, because I thought this was fabulous. So within this periodic table, it has the name of the kink, the symbol of the kink, or the 2-letter acronym for it, and then in the top left corner there's this number, and that number is the amount of the average monthly Google searches of that term from 2014. So it's a little outdated. The numbers of that may change, but I'm as we're talking, I'm just gonna throw that number in there because I just think it's so interesting.
That is interesting.
That being said, the main umbrella of kinks within BDSM are as follows: torture, domination, restraint, medical, impact play, role play, sensation, butt stuff, materials, sex acts, and miscellaneous. So, quite a bit.
Yeah. What's under miscellaneous?
What's under miscellaneous? Let me pull it up in my 11-page document that I had to look up. So I have 6 things within the miscellaneous part, and one of them is tentacle sex and splashing and feeders. So when I say miscellaneous, it's so nuanced, and it literally will have it just gets thrown into miscellaneous.
That's from 2014, so I also wonder if there's...
Well, the article that I have... Well, that's true. If it's from the periodic table, it's from 2014. So I wonder if there's more. If there's more from that miscellaneous, after we go through some of these, let us know. We'll add just to...
And where you're getting your resources.
So that way we can add to more of our resources. So, so those are the umbrella kinks of BDSM. I honestly, it's so interesting. So when I was looking this up, so out of these these broad terminological kinks, one of the things that I did see in there that I didn't name in that list is called prime elements, and it just has two sections, and it's you've already gone over them, so it's bondage and sadism, masochism. So it's part of the acronym for BDSM. Okay. So I have those in here, but just know that that is you have BDSM as the umbrella, and then under that umbrella are these other ones. So if you're why didn't she say bondage, or why didn't she say sadism, masochism? That's a huge part. It's because it's part of the mass umbrella term, and then under that are the ones that I'm talking about.
And I'm going to specifically go into a lot of those anyways.
Yes.
Cool. So we'll go into to B, into bondage.
B for bondage.
Bondage, the actual definition is slavery or involuntary servitude. The state of being bound by or subjected to some external power or control. The state or practice of being physically restrained as by being tied up, chained, or put in handcuffs for sexual gratification. So some of the big safety risks that you need to watch out for, take care of, etc. When it comes to bondage, this is a really big one. And I think it's one that like we tend to forget about, is falling while restrained.
Falling while restrained.
I'm sure you've been tied up and you never even like, the thought never occurred to you, like, what were to happen if, like, I would have just fall out of this bed right now?
Like, I guess, yeah, because it's like, I don't know, I'm normally, like, if it's happening, I'm in the middle of the bed, so, like, I've not had to worry about that quite yet, but, yeah, okay, so can you go into that a little bit more? Yeah, so as a Dom, making sure you are aware of your sub's surroundings, and if they are acting reckless, as some of us bratty subs do, to, just check them. That's a good idea. We love to be checked. We like to be checked on, yes. Some of us like certain bondage where, we like to pretend to fight back and stuff, so sometimes we get a little squirmy. Sometimes we're squirmy or wherever we are. Or, like, running while being restrained, or... That's a good point, yeah. There's a lot of safety precautions, I think. Falling over things. Yeah. Yeah, no, please be careful of falling, guys. Disclaimer. As a Dom, make sure that you're checking your sub on that. Yeah, check your subs, okay? Care for them properly, thank you. The more known ones for revolved around bondage is, loss of circulation or nerve damage, making sure restraints are not too tight, checking for skin coloration, and checking in with your partner. So loss of circulation or nerve damage can happen very quickly and without really any pain. So I'm sure, like, you've all done the thing where you wrap string around your finger and it's not painful. Yeah. And, like, I'm sure... It's like cutting off circulation. It cuts off circulation, but that can cause nerve damage. So even though, like, your sub might not be in pain, like, making sure you're checking for swelling, discoloration... Yeah, like, please be safe while doing things like that. Do your research. Like, listen, we would love for you to be like, I learned this on the More Than Missionary podcast. Also, do more research. Yeah. Okay? All of this is broad, please. Like, if you're interested in doing bondage, which, like, by all means, like, go for it. Just please do your research, be knowledgeable, don't be reckless to the point where you're being unsafe, okay? Just, like, if you're going to take anything away from what we say today, it's, like, please do this. Please make sure you are just doing your research on it, okay, before you entertain the idea of it, okay? Just... Safe and happy sex. Safe and happy sex, everybody. Please and thank you. Okay, safe, happy, consensual sex is always good. Another safety risk coming with bondage is strangulation and asphyxiation. Yes. So never leaving your rope bunny completely alone is a very big thing. I know that some of us do have abandoned kinks, like being abandoned in the middle of play and stuff like that. I can't really imagine that. Like, I'm curious to see how that plays out. Really? You've never seen that? I might have to look it up. I guess, like, my brain, what it pictures is probably not what it looks like. Probably not. Like, all I'm thinking about is, like, really hot and heavy getting into it, and then all of a sudden somebody just, like, gets up and leaves. Oh my, well, yes. But, like, that would be so crazy. Well, I feel like that almost borderlines, like, with edging. It is. It is, like, a form of edging. I guess it is a form of edging, which I do get. But even just in general, like, I think a lot of subs, it's the idea of servitude, right? So that's true. Like, being, like, locked in a room for, like, 4 hours and being like, oh, no, I'm going to go leave, and you're just going to have to sit there and wait for me. Yeah, sit here and wait, and don't get up under any circumstances. Yeah. And they're like, what if I have to go to the bathroom? And you're like... Guess you got to piss yourself.
We have a urination kink here too now. Like,
I mean, yeah, like, you never know. So, no, I can kind of, okay, now that you're putting it into that way, like, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But.
So making sure that even if you are practicing something like an abandonment kink, making sure that you are checking on your rope bunny, like,
yeah,
putting a mask on them so they can't tell or something. And then, or having a camera. That's a really good one to implement. And making sure that you have a camera that is set up, you know, make sure that it's not set up on any form of Wi-Fi that anybody can just, like, watch or something. But, like, having something set up so that your rope bunny is not completely alone.
Yeah.
Especially for long periods of time.
Yeah.
So for tying of the neck, making sure you're doing an extreme amount of research before you do that.
Guys, listen, choking is, like, lovely, okay? But, like, don't... The windpipe. Don't press on the fucking windpipe. You want to know a way to kill the mood real quick? Is to crush their windpipe. I literally, like, guys, it's the sides. It's not here.
No.
It's never here. Ever. Don't do that.
You know,
it's on the sides. It's not in the front.
It just reminded me of is what's that, like, Dumb and Dumber, where he's like, it doesn't hurt here. It doesn't hurt here. It's right here.
Yeah, that's
he's like, I see nothing. Like,
yeah, no, literally, though, seriously, guys, like, okay, it can be so wonderful, pleasurable, all of those lovely acronyms for that, but just don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. Don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. Oh my God, don't do it if you don't know what you're doing. That's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah, just remember that when restraining airflow and blood flow for pressure, because that is part of both. Like, when you're using a rope or using choking of any kind, you want to restrain blood flow because that's what goes to your head to make you be able to, like, you know, drift off a little bit. Yeah. And then as well as airflow for a little bit of that, you know, choke and pleasure. So when you're doing both of those things, making sure you know what pressure points you're hitting, and then as well as you want to make sure that you know how to do that without crushing windpipes, as Christina already said, and knowing how long to hold to avoid brain injury or death. Because if your partner has given you consent to, you know, restrain until passing out, making sure you're not doing it so long that it could end up fatal or causing long-term brain damage.
Absolutely.
And then always having a quick way out is, like, number one. So,
like a safe word.
Yeah. Well, not just a safe word, but, like, having the key right there for cuffs. Having like access to being able to, like, get out of what you're getting out of very quickly too. Yeah. Because sometimes these ropes can take a long time to tie up and untie. And sometimes if somebody's in the middle of a panic,
if there's an emergency or something, like, you shouldn't be, like, you don't want to have to take, like, sorry, this is going to take me an hour to undo. Yeah. Like, that would suck. Like,
so just
sorry, you're just going to have to deal with it. Like, that would
having some sort of knife, scissor, whatever.
Something to, like, quickly get out of it is very important. Having an exit plan.
So implementing bondage, first and foremost, learning to use restraints safely first. Number one thing. Whether that's cuffs, whether that's rope, whatever it is, making sure that you're doing it safely. Yes, cuffs can create a lot of issues if they're not meant for, you know, sexual play. So, like, a pair of cuffs that you would get from a cop or whatever, they're not always going to have that same shape or feel as ones that you're going to get.
Like, you might actually hurt them without, like, the good thing, like the good hurt. You know what I mean? Like, you might actually non-consensually harm them,
especially if you're new.
So just, you know, go to your local, like, sex shop if you're, like, looking for a pair of cuffs, or looking online.
Or online. Etsy's great.
Etsy is great. Etsy has wonderful stuff on there. So yeah, just, you know, utilize your access to information.
So that is B.
Bondage. So I wanted to talk about, like, the kinks that involve bondage. Okay. Now,
This is the fun part.
this is the fun part. I am going to go over I'm going to go over the names and the definitions for some of these. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory, but I might like go into it a little bit. I definitely want to go into the Google searches that I found that are on this periodic table, because I just think that's such a cool thing. So let's take that being said. So the first one that I have on here is forced orgasm. So forced orgasm, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, but it's just, it involves demanding that your submissive partner brings themselves to orgasm once or repeatedly, or the active stimulation of the person to orgasm by the dominant person, or tool or machine of their choice. For example, dominant person may hold a magic wand vibrator against the genitals of their submissive, who may or may not be restrained in bondage, to heighten their sensations until they are, like, air quote, like, forced to orgasm. So forced orgasm, let's take a look at how many Google searches there are. Do you have a guess, Ashley?
Oh my goodness. For the year or for month?
For the month.
For
So
the
it's,
month.
yeah.
It's gotta, I feel like that's gotta be like in the millions.
Per month? Remember, this is 2014.
This is 2014.
Some of these are not, like, I think you'd be surprised by how, like, the Google search amount.
Okay, I'll drop it down way low then. I'll say around like 10,000. Oh no, am I still way too high?
Way too high. Do you want me to tell you?
Yes.
720 searches
Stop
per
it,
month.
no
I
way.
don't know if this is, like, per region also. Like, please, like, this is just a fun part of this, okay? I don't know
How accurate it
how
is.
accurate this is. I'm just fascinated by the fact that they include
I feel like there's no way.
Right? That's what I'm like, really? Only 720 per month?
I feel like that's just me.
Maybe this is, like, I mean, this might be just in the UK, because, like, this might be just in the UK, though.
Okay.
So, because this periodic table is, like, from the United Kingdom. So, I think if it's just for the UK, that would make
Yeah,
more
maybe.
sense.
Yeah, that would definitely make more sense.
forced orgasms. Sorry, in the best British accent. Should I start doing this in a British accent the whole time? You always tell me. Okay. Okay. So, on to the next one. So the next one are gags, okay? Like I said, that's like a fairly self-explanatory one. Still gonna go into it, though. It is a device worn in or over the mouth to prevent speech and to heighten the bondage and humiliation aspect. Types of kinky mouth gags include ball gags, bit gags, dildo gags, ring gags, inflatable gags, dental gags, and lots more. Okay, for the periodic table of Google searches, let's take a quick little looky here. Ashley, what do you think it is?
Oh, that one I feel like is going to be real low. Like in the 300s.
No.
I'm really bad at this game.
It's okay.
I don't like this game.
1900. So
Stop,
1,900. 1,900 are for that one. Yeah. And, like, I don't know. Okay, it says it's Google searches, but I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, this is only Google searches. Like, we're not including, like, Bing.
Yeah.
Or Yahoo. Like, I bet if they combined all of those, it would be a lot more. But it's just, yeah. So, yeah. Okay. The next one.
Have you ever been gagged?
Have I ever been gagged?
Yeah. Have you ever been
Yes,
gagged?
but I feel like what I had was, like, it pinched my mouth.
What was it? If you don't mind me asking.
It was a ball gag.
Okay.
And I hated it. I hated it because it, like, pinched. It kept, like, pinching against the ball itself and
Okay.
the rope that was, or, like, the strap on it. So it kept pinching the sides of my mouth. And I'm like, this is not enjoyable. Like, that actually hurts.
Where did you get it?
I don't know. I think it came with a kit. Like, it was,
Okay.
like, it was...
Your intro to BDSM.
It was like it was like made out of like it was like a plastic, like almost like a wiffle ball. Like that.
Okay.
Like, not like it didn't have holes in it like a wiffle ball.
I want to
because it
find like
says
a
weight.
really good small business to like promote for this kind of stuff. I don't know.
I think a better one would be almost like, I don't know if that's like regulatory, but I wonder if like more like if it's like a silicone ball where you could like kind of like bite and do it a little bit more, it might be easier.
There's so many different types of those.
There's a lot of different ones. So the one that I had, I did not enjoy it. Otherwise, it's more just like for me, it's more like don't speak. You know what I mean? Like, it's not necessarily, like, I'm not going to physically gag you, but, like, I'm telling you to verbally not speak, so therefore do not speak. You're not allowed to speak. So that, like, for me, that's, like, where I'm at with it. Have you ever been gagged?
I have.
I feel like you like that. You're smiling.
No, I'm smiling because the forms that I've been gagged, I feel like, are just so much more intimate.
Okay, well, if that's what the route we're going, then yes, I've been gagged.
I've been, like, gagged with, like, my own panties and stuff before.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I have a question. Do you think blowjobs are considered gagging? Or is that its own thing? Because if somebody's giving a blowjob and they're just, like, full-blown, just, like, hitting the back of your
they
throat,
can
like,
gag you.
then it's gagging,
yeah.
Right? I mean, it hits your gag reflex sometimes.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Okay, so, like, all right, then, yeah.
That too, yeah.
Okay, all right, so the next term. Okay, so these are two... So I have, like, two different ones, but they're under the same... They seem like they coincide with each other based off of these definitions. But it's shibari and kinbaku. So this is a Japanese style of bondage. I have seen... Like, when I think of bondage, that's actually what my brain thinks of. It's super intricate.
Our logo. Like, purposeful.
Yeah,
pretty
like, it's very...
bondage.
Like, yeah, it's, like, very artistic, yeah. It's... So... It's known as kinbaku, or shibari is known as kinbaku in Japanese. The Western BDSM scene refers to this visually intricate style of shibari bondage. The word has a broader meaning in Japanese. However, it means binding or tying in a variety of contexts. Specifically, and then when I read the definition for kinbaku, it says, a Japanese style of bondage. The word means tight binding. This style of bondage is visually intricate and carried out with several pieces of thin, natural fiber bondage rope. In Western BDSM, we commonly refer to this as shibari, so it kind of seems like they're interchangeable. So, the periodic table, Google searches. Let's take a quick little look. Would you like to take a guess?
That one's going to be low. That one's going to be
You think
more,
that one's going to be low?
Yeah, that 300, I'll say. I feel like just because it's a niche, like, how many people are going to know what that word is? Of the average, just, like, person. Oh, man, I'm wrong again. I hate this game.
All right, shibari racks in 4,400 searches. Kinbaku has 1,000 searches.
You know what?
Isn't that interesting? How
I'd be so interested to do, like, a...
I'd like to see an updated version of this list, and I'd like to see one for the United States.
Yeah. I would definitely like to see the difference in BDSM knowledge from United States to the UK.
Yeah.
That'd be really interesting to find out.
There's also something to be said, like, we have a lot more people that live in the United States, though. So, like, that would make a huge difference. I don't know if it'd be necessarily an accurate comparison. You'd need to, like, look at this many searches is this percentage of this percentage, like, equals out to, like, this many in the UK.
Yeah.
So, all right. So the next one that I have is breast bondage. Okay. The restriction and binding of the breasts for sexual psychological fulfillment. This may be done with rope, clamps, harnesses, and other specialized accessories. That being said, let's take a look at our periodic table Google searches. What do we think it is? Ashley?
We'll say 5,000.
Actually, no. 1,600. You've been very off.
I've had enough of this game.
You're like, this is absolute bullshit.
It is bullshit. I call bullshit.
She's calling bullshit on these reasons. I'm just reading off the numbers, guys, okay? I don't know how accurate these are, but...
It seems so off.
Right? That's what I thought, too.
How can one have 300? Like, how can...
Some of these you'd think,
I
right?
know.
Okay. All right, next term is suspension. Hoisting a person into a suspended position while bound. Care must be taken to only use frames designed for suspension bondage, or that the ceiling or beam you're attaching the hoist to is secure enough to support a bound person safely. I have to tell you something about this. I want to do this, like, so badly. Like, I'm like, wow, that sounds pretty awesome. I think the idea of being suspended sounds like pretty mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Have you ever?
No.
But you want to?
I definitely want to.
Like, would you consider a sex swing to be in that umbrella? Or is it, like, strictly, like, rope bondage?
No, because you could be suspended by many things.
That's true.
And it doesn't have to be rope. I mean, you see so many times at dungeons where people are, like, they have those old school ones.
So
where they're
true.
like, start out and stuff. I love those. I've always wanted... That, like, I think that would be, like, my dungeon dream. I mean, I don't want anybody to watch. I'll go to a dungeon, but, like, nobody watch me. So maybe I won't. I would never play in a dungeon, I don't think, where people are watching. But if it was a private, like, that would be, like, the dream. Like, I want to be, like, start out and just, like, fucked with.
just fuck with me. Literally, though, I think the idea of being suspended sounds lovely. I love that idea. What do you think the Google searches are? Because I was like... This does not seem accurate in any way, shape, or form, but what do you think it is?
5,000.
390.
That's what I'm saying. This
sounds so not accurate. I'm going to keep
sure?
Like, literally, that's what it says. And then see how the key says that the Google search in the left-hand corner is the number that is the Google search. And listen, guys, like we said, like, that... This is just the UK searches and it's monthly. So, like, I don't know. There's 390 of you motherfuckers out there in 2014 that were really into suspension. And maybe the rest of you just weren't thinking about it that month. But I don't know if this is, like, based off of, like, how many months or if this is just, like, 1 month that they decided to use.
Yeah.
Like I said, that's just a fun little tidbit thing. Like, this is probably not that accurate, to be honest, as far as the Google search numbers go.
It doesn't feel accurate.
It doesn't feel accurate, but I'm just, like, like, there's one of these that is, like, there's no way that's 11,000, but, like, whatever. Like, anyway.
Any hooser.
The last one that I have on here is under role play. So this one is called Pig Play, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, and actually, I feel like you could use this not only in Pig Play, but also, like, if you're into, like, dressing up as other type of animals, whatever. So it's called trotter bondage gloves, and you would utilize this in that, like, if that's what you're into, they almost look like boxing gloves that you would put on and strap, and, like, you don't have, like, access to your fingers, essentially, because you're, like, role playing as that animal.
Okay.
So you wouldn't be, like, you would have that restrained on, like, your hands would be, like, restrained to that. So, like, that would be that considered bondage. That's, like, a little bit more, like, niche and nuance, but I just wanted to include it on here. But as far as other bondage, I'm sure there's more, but this is just off the list that I have.
Okay.
So those are the kinks of bondage.
What's your favorite type of bondage play, like, for you?
I would say it's hard because one of them is like, I really want to do this, but I've never done it before. So it's
so, like, what you have.
What I have done.
Yeah.
Like, I like when my hands are tied behind my back. Like, there's some really basic ones that are, like, I didn't include on this list, but, I mean, it's a form of it. Like, I like the idea of being, like, my hands, like, I'm not able to use my hands, or, like, being, like, my arms and legs being restricted. But also, I would say, out of all of the ones that I spoke about, I would say forced orgasm, or, like, being, like, restrained while having that done would be my...
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I like not being able to like move or do it. Like I want to be I want to be fully restrained though.
Like I see what you mean.
I also like I'm a brat. So and I'm also into like I'm into CNC.
Like maybe I'll figure out a way out of it.
Yeah. I'm also really into CNC. Mm-hmm. So like
what is CNC?
Consensual, non-consensual.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the idea of like trying to get out. That's why I was like, you know, sometimes you need to check your brat. Yeah. Just check them. Like
check your brat. Okay, so let's head on to the next umbrella
really
term.
Quick. Yeah. I do want to say that if you are going to get into bondage, making sure that you are not going to Home Depot or Lowe's or wherever.
Guys, don't get like rope shit. Like you're gonna give your subs like split tips, okay? Please use like regulated rope that is for BDSM.
Yes.
Don't just use like
handcuffs.
Whatever. Like ropes. Unless you're using like unless it is like you're tying your partner's hands behind their back and you want to use your tie or something like that. Like just make sure it's loose and like you're not going to harm the person and that there's a lot of conversation and communication between the two of you. But like really truly, if you're going to be doing this, please use regulated rope for BDSM. Do not go to the hardware store to get freaking rope that's gonna hurt the person in like a way that you can't help.
Okay, so the next letter is going to be D, which gets interchanged out between discipline and dominance. So I'm just kind of, because they can go hand in hand, I am going to kind of just clump right there.
Yeah. So
discipline is action focused, where dominance is authorization or leadership. It's in a more stereotypical setting. There is a dominant partner in charge of the scene, and there is a submissive partner who consents to being submitted to the actions of the dominant. So some of the words that are interchangeably used for the dominance is dominant, master, mistress, top, sadist, switch. There's so many, but those are just a couple that kind of umbrella.
Okay.
Another thing to look out for is red flags of uneducated or ill-intended subs or doms. Mm-hmm. It's also good to have friends in the community that are impartial to help navigate sub-dom relationships.
Yeah.
And chat forums are also great for this. So I want to go into this a little bit. Those red flags of uneducated or ill-intended subs or doms would be like, for the dom, because that's what we're talking about right now, is using their dominance to manipulate the sub, or vice versa, or using some toxic habits that would otherwise not really align with what BDSM is. So a great one for this is media really portrays this idea of you can just hop in a bed with somebody and start a BDSM relationship with them. And really that comes with a lot of that on education of not knowing and not creating consent, not creating check-ins, not talking about those things first. Mm-hmm. So just making sure that you are navigating healthy sub-dom relationships. And I think as a dom, it's more your responsibility to not only care for yourself, but also care for your sub. Subs do care for their dom just in different ways.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's start too, because if you're a sub and you have a dom, like, you want to please your dom, right? A lot of the time, even if you're a brat, right? And like with that, it is different. Like, but as a dom, like, you are dominant, so you need to take on a dominant role, and that also includes like safety and doing your research. Like, if you're gonna be taking that, like, what I would consider, like, the head honcho role of this dynamic, like, then you need to be the head honcho and, like, do
Well, yeah.
things.
Being the dominant is being the lead.
Yeah,
So
you're being
making
the
sure
lead.
that you can lead your sub safely. Trusting your surroundings as well as your partner. So if you are, I mean, that went along with like bondage, making sure that you are checking your surroundings so that it's safe for you, it's safe for your sub, all of those things. Mental health is important, and having tools to navigate emotions and communicating is very important, especially being a dom. Sometimes you have to ask your sub 3 different ways if things are okay to get the to make sure things genuinely are okay.
Yeah.
So it's a huge, being a dom is just
It's all about
extreme
communication.
amounts of responsibility.
Yes, and it's like there's so much communication that you need to have before, during, and after. So like, just like, yeah, like we said, safety, research, and making sure that if that is what you're interested in becoming and doing, that you are taking the proper care to do in order to do this properly. Okay.
Yeah.
So, that being said, is there anything else that you
So I just kind of wanted to, because I feel like I really focused on dominance there. So
Yes.
along with that is going to be that discipline. So and that also kind of goes with that sadomasochism stuff. Like, but you are the disciplinee. You are doing the disciplining, or what I like to call punishments. Punishments. So yeah, the disciplinary stuff, whether it's spankings or being edged,
Yeah.
or all of those fun things. And then if you are thinking about implementing the D in BDSM, is just making sure you talk it out inside and out of the bedroom. And I like a little bit of flirty domination myself. So if you're trying to, like, see if your partner would be interested in, and you are the dominant, and you're trying to implement this, maybe doing like a cute little flirty, like, pull up, restrain him against the wall and give him a little smooch or something, just like flirty domination where it's not so in your face, but kind of like gives you the little
Like tease,
baby,
like
yeah,
a little tease of domination, a little
the baby steps.
a little bit of teasy tippy tappy, a little tease and denial, maybe a little bit that. Do you like my sultry voice? If I said, should I talk like this the whole time during the podcast?
Yeah, but do it with like your British accent.
I feel like I'm about... Hello, love. Hello, love. I can't. I didn't scale from 1 to even. I can't. Okay. All right.
We tried. Or you tried. I just sat here and laughed too.
I tried and failed fantastically. Okay. So with that being said, can I go into some of the kinks that are part of domination discipline? So there's quite a bit I have on here. So I'm going to go through these. I might we'll check out some of the Google searches in this one, but
we've already decided they're inaccurate.
They're inaccurate, so I'm actually just not gonna. I'm just really not gonna. If you want to look at them, you can. Okay.
Well,
I'm disappointed in some of these numbers, and I don't know how accurate they are at this point. So they seemed accurate at first upon looking at them, but I don't know. 390 searches for some of these are I'm like, there's no way. There's no fucking way. Okay, so, all right, that being said, here's the list that I have for kinks of domination. So, the first ones that I have are tease and denial. Tease and denial is a teasing to invoke sexual arousal, teamed with the denial of the pinnacle of that arousal, release, and relief by orgasm. So... it's almost that is such a broad term, but it's gonna go. We'll get into it more. Okay, so the next one that I have on here is cuckolding. Okay, that is you may have heard that one before. Cuckoldry in BDSM is enjoying being present, watching, or being aware of your romantic and or BDSM partner having sex with someone else, or being the one to, quote, cuckold your partner or submissive in this way. So, if you have seen the movie Crazy Stupid Love, that's what it is. I don't know why I have a hard time with that one, but there's like a scene in Crazy Stupid Love where Steve Carell is like in the bar and he's like drunk as shit and he's like, this man cuckolded me. If you've heard of this word before from that movie, which I did, that was the first time I ever heard that word. That's actually what it means. It's like, yeah, like, but it is part of BDSM. Like, and I think a lot of people will utilize that term as like, somebody, oh, my partner cheated on me, I was cuckolded. But it is also part of BDSM, like if you get off on like watching your partner in some way, like be with another person and that turns you on. So the next one that I have, I had not heard of this term before. So it's called forced feminization. The practice of dressing a partner in traditionally feminine clothing and telling them to act like a stereotypical feminine manner or mutual sexual, psychological pleasure and the fulfillment of submissive needs. This is often a humiliation aspect as well, hence the, quote, forced part of the name, despite the fact that all activities should be actively consented to, also known as sissification. So I had not heard that one before. I mean, like, I feel like it, like I've heard of it, but just not in that terminology. So, yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but you've definitely seen it.
I've definitely seen it. I just like was like, oh, I didn't know that was the phrase for it. Okay, so this is one of my faves, okay? Orgasm denial. Denying a kinky partner's orgasm for mutual sexual psychological fulfillment. This could be through obeying and submitting to the dominant person's command only, or with the addition of a physical orgasm release barrier such as a chastity device. I've not used one of those in the bedroom, but that seems very interesting. I feel like I'd be very irritated about having that on though.
Yeah.
I'd be like, motherfucker, like, get this
I would
off
hate
of
that.
me. I would not like that. Although I do like orgasm denial. I think that I mean, it really heightens the, like...
How long have you ever gone? Like, have you, like, been in the middle of play, been denied, and then had to, like, go your whole day?
No, thank God I have not. But I can totally imagine that being, like, amazing when you're actually able to get to that finish line. So,
yeah.
Have you?
Yeah.
How long? What's the longest?
8 hours.
Oh my Lord. Are you saying like you guys took a break?
No, like I was ready to go. Like I was ready to climax and then stopped. I'm like, we're going to go start our day now.
I would be so mad. I would be the brattiest brat.
Okay, but that's
fucking day.
I mean, that's why I was being punished.
That's I mean, yes, but...
But when Sweet Release did finally come, then
it's like the come get it, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Then it's like amazing, right? It's like the best fucking thing.
I also love it because because I am a brat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was being punished and, was supposed to be good in order to get, like, what I wanted at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But that would be too easy.
Yes.
So
it wouldn't be a very good dom if they just let you go all the time. I get it. So yeah, so that is that's good. Okay. All right, the next one is called slave training. Training a submissive to become a slave in the specific manner the dominant partner desires. So, listen, I get like I have personally, I know this is just the term, but there is something really, like, I don't necessarily care for that phrasing of, like, slave trade, like, the idea of a slave. But I think that's just because, like, my brain thinks of, like, terrible things.
Yeah.
But I know that there's, like, I'm sure there's, like, other terminologies for that. But
you also have to remember that, like, no matter what, the person, the sub, the slavey, whatever, they have control. They 100% have control. Like, there is a safe word implemented.
That's so
you know,
true.
at any point in time they're uncomfortable, they're more than welcome to use whatever tap out method that they've already come up with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So the last one on this list, I've already said it, but I'm going to say it because it's under this term as well, but it's forced orgasms. I'm not going to go through the definition because we already talked about it. The next one on this list, is male dominance. Self-explanatory, the consensual enjoyment of a male dominant partner, okay? Right now in my life with my husband, that's what I like. So this one was interesting. It's like one of these things where, like, if it exists, there's a fetish of it. You know what I mean? And I have to remind myself of that frequently. So this next one is small penis humiliation. The enjoyment of humiliating a like-minded consenting partner about the real, imagined, or fantasized diminutive size of their penis, or deriving pleasure from being the target of this humiliation. So pretty self-explanatory, right? So, small penis humiliation. Pretty self-explanatory. This other word... Okay, so this next one...
But that's under Wait.
Well, yeah, because it's like you're dominating. It is a form of domination. It is a form of humiliation, but that, like, humiliation is also, like, you have a dominant person, like...
But wouldn't that be considered sadism?
Yeah, probably. I mean, this is just what this list was
the degradation.
Yeah. I mean, I bet you it probably fits more in that.
Yeah.
This is just what I had read.
Okay.
However, yeah, I can definitely see that being more of like a sadism umbrella term. The next one I have on here is called queening, which is another term for face sitting, okay? Face sitting is the kinky practice of sitting on or hovering over another's face, submitting them to pleasure from their sitter's bare or clothed genital area, or simply their scent and proximity. It may also be done to allow or force oral servitude from the sittee to whichever area of the genital region the sitter desires. I personally love the phrase queening over face sitting.
Yeah.
I feel like a queen sitting on the throne.
I would be so much more receptive to, like, do you want to be queen to queen than, like, you want to sit on my face? Like,
yeah, like, you know what like, one definitely sounds more like sexy than the other. So the next one that I have on here is sissification, which I had kind of mentioned a little bit before, in forced feminization. Similar to that, but with more weight given to the humiliation aspect rather than a true representation of a stereotypical female by the submissive partner. Enforced clothing is likely to be more costume in style, with pink satin, oversized bows, ribbons, lace, garish accessories, often heavily featured. So it's like very over-exaggerated.
So it's like female avant-garde.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, that's a great way to put that. And again, that could also be under more sadism, too, because it's like humiliating, or humiliation. The next one I have is sexual humiliation. I think a lot of these things, because, like, BDSM is, like, it flows kind of within each other, too. No pun intended. But, like, seriously, though, like, they do. Like, they can kind of flip from, like, one umbrella to the other. So sexual humiliation, the practice and enjoyment of humiliating somebody consensually through a range of methods and activities, and, like, that is an umbrella in of itself. So and then this last one I have on here, which I would say both of us are quite big fans of, are sensory deprivation.
Yes.
Because we have talked about this before, not on the pod, but just between the two of us. So it's temporary removal of one or more of the senses to heighten arousal and intensify the experience. BDSM sensory deprivation is often achieved by using accessories such as blindfolds and total sensory deprivation hoods. So, like, like it said on here, blindfolds, or, like, earplugs, or, like, headphones with, like, a ton of music where you have no idea what's going on around you. I would say even, like, turning off the lights, right?
Yeah.
And, like, you can't be, like, in the dark. It's interesting because I feel like a lot of people don't even practice in BDSM or don't even realize that, like, maybe they have their own idea, like a negative connotation of what BDSM is, and in their own sexual lives, like, they've done this stuff, and they just don't realize that it's actually part of the BDSM community. Not that there's, like, should be, like, a gatekeeper being like, that's actually BDSM, but, like, but, like, that, like, like, there's actually, like, you may have even done this in your own, intimacy life, and, like, it's actually, that is actually a part of BDSM, and, maybe it's something that you need to do a little bit more research on to heighten your own pleasurable experience. So so that is officially the list that I have for dominance, and discipline is kind of in here. I feel like discipline, like, I don't have a list for discipline.
Okay, so instead of going through a list for discipline, what's your favorite form of disciplinary action?
Ooh, I mean, okay, so, like, we've talked about orgasm denial, right?
Yeah.
I would say that's a form of discipline. I like spankings. I do like whips, but, like I don't remember what they're called. I know flogging with, like, the multiple.
Tassels.
The tassels. Thank you. The tassels. Yeah, the ones with the tassels I like. I like belts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that would be it for me. What about you?
I don't know. I feel like I definitely like to be spanked, but I also like to take it to, like, a whole nother level. Like,
good for you.
But yeah, flogging, paddling.
That was the other term.
Yeah.
Would you consider using a belt as part of a flogging, or would that be more paddling, or is that its own thing?
I think its own thing.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. I love punishments, though. I live for the punishment.
Moving on up. Oh, I also...
we were done.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Fine, bitch.
What were you saying?
No, I was like, there was one I left out in bondage, and I'm mad that I just realized that right now.
Go on back.
I'm just gonna say it really quick.
Yeah.
There is another one. There's actually 3 on here that I missed.
Okay, well, that's too many.
So sorry. So just, like, I don't know. If you hear this later in the pod, great. Maybe Ashley will edit this in a way where it's all together.
I love how you have, like, zero control over your editing, and you're just like, maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't.
Maybe this won't be there. Maybe you won't hear this at all. I don't know. But the other 3 that I wanted to include are mummification, hog tie, and human furniture, which are part of restraints. Like, mummification is, like, wrapping a person completely in the style of an ancient Egyptian mummification. And it's just to completely prevent movement. It could be used, like, you could be including, like, cloth, cling film, bandages, rubber strips, duct tape, plaster bondages, body bags, or straitjackets. Literally being complete.
I feel like I would like that.
Yeah. The other one is called hog tie, and it's called freedom of movement is severely restricted in a hog-tied position. All 4 limbs are shackled together, whether on back or on front, and this provides the consenting submissive with an alluring heightened state of vulnerability. And the last one I have on here is human furniture, also known as forniphilia, the enjoyment of being regarded and used as a piece of furniture, for example, a footstool, a table, a chair, or an inanimate object of furniture. And I feel like that would make sense to be in restraint or bondage, because you're literally being, like, forced into a position to, like, not move, like a piece of furniture. So anyway, those are the last.
We're gonna show up our next podcast, and we're just gonna use humans as furniture.
Oh my god, can we do that? Can we hire people to do that?
I'm sure we could. I know we definitely could. I know for a fact we could.
I feel like we're gonna be talking for like an hour. I'm gonna be checking in on this person, be like, are you okay?
And we would have to, like, really be practicing our inner dominant.
I would need to make sure I don't fart. I'm sorry.
That's where your mind goes.
I'm sorry.
Like, have you ever farted at any point in time while we were just chilling here? Actually, don't answer that. Yes, you have.
Maybe.
I was like, actually, after I thought about that, I'm like, no way, yeah, you have. It's so funny.
I'm trying to humble us, okay? I'm humbling
you know what's so okay, you know what I realized? Okay, I'm not gonna say that I don't fart, okay, because I do. We're fucking human.
Everybody farts. I'm tired of hearing you go down fart. Yes, we do. And I fart in the bed and I'm not ashamed. I'll fart box the bed. I'll touch oven someone. I don't care.
I learned recently that I'm not really a day farter.
You're a night farter.
I'm a night farter.
I bet you. I have a question. When you eat gluten, are you like farty central?
When I eat gluten, no hole is safe. Like, no hole is safe. There's something coming out of everything, okay? I don't.
You poor woman. Oh. Anyway.
For reference, I have celiac disease. So when I get contaminated with gluten, it's just not fun for anybody. Like, and everybody has to hear about it because I'm so miserable and I have to bitch about it.
I mean, I get it. I would be sad too if I couldn't eat gluten, Ashley. Okay, listen. I can understand. You can always complain to me about it.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway.
The God said, "You're a masochist? Watch this."
Oh, are you now? Okay.
We're going to test that theory.
Let's really test that one out. Okay. Okay, since we've gone through the B and the D.
And then went back to the B.
No, and back to the B a little bit, yeah. So it's really BDBSM. Sorry about that. Let's move on to our last topic of BDSM, really, of this overview, which is the sadism masochism.
Yeah, so submission first.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Yeah,
Submission.
so submission, the submissive or sub is someone who consensually gives power to their dominant partner. It may only be for a scene or part of the overall relationship dynamic. Submission would be a couple of names that people would go by, or titles would be submissive, slave, servant, bottom, masochist, switch. Again, there's many, many more. Safety and risks. I kind of just said go back to like what I said about a dominant. Those are vice versa. For being a sub, for those red flags and things like that, like I said, as a sub, you want to serve your dominant, so just making sure that you're not being manipulated in any way. But like I said, that can go back and forth between both sub and dom. The only real big difference between sub and dom, I would say, is that just because of the play that subs have, being more aware of things like bodily and physical harm to your body. So we're more likely amped to be getting bruised or cut, whatever, by the play that we're doing. I mean, not to say that dominants don't. Your girl's a freaka girl who loves a little bit of blood play every now and then. So the idea of my dominant being like showing a little blood or whatever, like that's, so they, not to say dominants can't have bodily harm.
Yeah.
But subs, you really want to make sure that you are checking your body for bruises, marks, cuts, scrapes, all of those fun things. And then if you want to implement a submissive lifestyle, again, just talk it out with your partner.
Yeah.
As well as my favorite way to implement it in my relationships is bratting it out. Or tapping into that just sub energy, I see a lot of subs that are more of that like playful, cutesy, like submission. So being able to kind of play it up a little bit in order to flirt.
Yeah, no, I definitely.
So sadism is the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. Masochism is the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification, from one's own pain or humiliation. Safety and risks include bodily and emotional injury. And when it comes to sadism and masochism, just making sure that you're doing proper education to keep you and your sub safe, or you and your partner safe.
Okay, well, it's kind of bouncing off of that then, kind of going back into the kinks of, submissive, sadism, masochism. A lot of these terms that I have already stated can be, put under this umbrella. But I'm going to go a little bit more actually into impact play.
Okay.
Because I think that there's a lot of that included in sadism, masochism, and if you're a submissive, you might be experiencing these things as a sub. So that being said, here is this list of impact play. Some of these are very self-explanatory. Spanking. Okay, the practice of spanking the one in the submissive role, usually by hand spanking or / over the knee spanking, OT, which is also called OTK. Those involved gain physical or psychological fulfillment, and there may be a strong sense of sexual arousal as well. Although this is not always the case, you'll definitely want to do more research into that, because that's just the definition. I mean, spanking is a whole that's also an umbrella in of itself. So, the other one is caning, inflicting pain to comparable safe areas of the submissive person's body, buttocks, fleshy backs of the thighs, by the use of a spanking cane. Flogging, giving corporal punishment to fleshy areas of the recipient's body by use of BDSM flogger. There is a multi-tailed whipped, where the tails may be long or short in length. This other one is, I'm sorry if I mispronounced this. Flagellation. Flagellation is an umbrella term to describe beating the body for masochistic and sadistic purposes in BDSM by using a variety of corporal punishment tools. These may include, but aren't limited to, floggers, tosses, crops, paddles, whips, switches, and other lashing items. Next one is whipping. Corporal punishment by using BDSM whips. This may be a single tail whip, such as a bull whip, or multi-tailed in style. The term whipping usually implies a heavier punishment style than flogging, which can be done in a light, sensual, or teasing manner, as well as in a more brutal way as well, too. And the last one that I have in this impact play is paddling. Corporal punishment by using spanking paddles. Paddles are handheld, flat implements which may be lightweight, like leather wrapped, or heavier in style, wooden or metal. Paddling the buttocks of the submissive partner leads to sadistic or masochistic pleasure for both, with related visuals of the reddened cheeks, using a paddle and another way to deliver a spanking. So those are what I have on our impact play, but there's a lot on this list that I have that could really be under that, and I just don't think we have enough time in our podcast episode to really go through them. So just as a start, basic terminology that other people might understand, or might be more familiar with, I should say, would be those impact plays. Most people have heard of spanking, flogging, things like that. So wanted to kind of go through more of those basic terms.
Okay. Real quick, I wanted to go through the rules of play and how to implement into your life. So making sure you're going over with your partner what you are comfortable with and what you are not comfortable with. Mm-hmm. Researching your kinks together to understand what your partner or partners like. Mm-hmm. Create check-ins and set boundaries. Choose a safe word and a tap out. Mm. So if you guys are going to start implementing any of this, or you already are, you know that these are very, very important things to go over. We did kind of talk a little bit previously in another episode about contracts. We do want to do an episode on that at some point. Mm-hmm. But those are really, really important to settle out first before you start playing.
Absolutely. We said, guys, this is a huge topic to tackle. Like, what we described today, it's just the tip of the iceberg into the world of BDSM. Just the tip.
Just the tip.
Just the tip. Just the tip. So, that being said, is there anything else that you would like to add in today's episode as far as this intro to BDSM?
What was, like, your first, like,
experience?
BDSM awakening?
I'm embarrassed to say what it is, but I'm going to say it anyway. It is 100% after I read 50 Shades of Grey when I was in high school. Like, here's the thing. So, like, I had a family member, an extended family member that had this book, and, like, I was not allowed to read this, right? I grew up in a Christian household, so, like, big no-no on the 50 Shades in my household, even though it was, like, all over the internet and everybody's obsessed with it. It was just, like, really, like, not well written. Like, sorry to those who like that book. At the time I liked the book because, like, I didn't fucking know anything, so it was kind of my intro into it. It's in a lot of people's, actually, like a lot of newer individuals. It was this.
It wasn't the first Muddy book that I had ever read, but it was closer to, like, the beginning times. Like, I had already read one series before I picked that up. And I'm not gonna lie, at the time I was like, okay, but it didn't, like, I don't know. It, like you said, it was very poorly written.
And so, like, when I read this book, so, like, my family member was like, they had it on their bookshelf, and I, like, saw it and was like, I was like, you're reading this? I think I was maybe, I don't know, 16, I don't know, 15, I don't remember when it came out, but I remember being in high school. And they were like, yeah, do you want to read it? And I was like, maybe. I was like, can I just, like, let me just look at it. Like, I'm not allowed to read this, but I want, it's like, you're not allowed to do it, so you want to do it anyway. Yeah. So, of course, I open it, and she just goes, open it up to a random page. And I was like, okay. So I opened it up to a random page because, like, the majority of that book is just, like, sex. So. Yeah. And I just remember being like, whoa, what is this? Like, there's, like, a part of the book, and I think they may have even shown it in the movie, where he like gives her the little, like, they're like little eggs or balls or something that you, like, stick up your vagina. And I was, like, blown away that was a thing. Like, I was like, what? People do this? This is insanity. My innocence. Yeah. So, like, that was my intro to it. However, so it was like that and a combination of a movie that I watched that was not 50 Shades of Grey, but it is, to this day, still, like, one of my favorite movies. Just because it holds a lot of, like, I guess, like, nostalgic ideas for me. But it's called Secretary. Okay. And this movie is, so it's not from it's from 2002, and it's with James Spader. It's like a young James Spader. And let me tell you something. Spader. Like, there is something about James Spader that is so hot. Yes. Like, he's way older, and, like, listen, I still think his voice is chef's
and
kiss.
He's not like a buff daddy or, like,
but oh my god, have you
it's just the way movie? He carries himself. He's very just, like, he carries himself like a different kind of, I have not seen that movie.
I'm assigning you this movie to watch. It's not a great representation of, like, BDSM in any way, but it is a great movie. Like, so I still love this movie.
Started watching Blacklist.
Oh my god, I've seen, like, the first, I want to say, like, 4 seasons of
Blacklist. I'm on season 3, and I've been watching it probably for a year now.
Really?
But so that's just good. How slow I watch TV.
But, like, James Spader in Blacklist is so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
yeah. I mean, he's old, like, he's not, like I said, he's not, like, a young gun or anything like that.
No, I mean,
but, like, He's still so, like...
It's the way he carries himself.
It is. And you are right. He's got, like, this wonderful voice.
He's 63, but, like...
What? No way he's 63. You're...
63, that's what the Google says. Turning 64 this year, actually.
Wow.
February 7th. Happy early birthday, James Spader.
Yeah.
But, oh my god, a young James Spader in Secretary. It also has Maggie Gyllenhaal in it. And it follows Maggie Gyllenhaal's character, Lee Holloway, and she gets out of a inpatient program for trigger warning, talking about self-harm. But, like, she gets out of this inpatient program for self-harm, and when she gets out and goes back to living with her parents, she's like, I think she's like 18 in the movie. She goes back, lives with her parents, and she's like, I'm gonna get a job. So she gets a job as a secretary for this lawyer who is James Spader's character, Mr. Gray, and a lot of inappropriate things ensue. Like, she starts to learn more about herself and this character for Mr. Gray, and, like, oh my god, like, there are some funny parts to it that I think are more like, I think they're poking fun at BDSM a little bit in some scenes of this movie, but overall, like, I love this movie so much. Like, I think, like, 50 Shades was, like, my first, like, somebody opened up behind the curtain of it a little bit, but this movie, Secretary, was a movie that I watched on, like, repeat because I loved it so much.
Okay.
And that was really what got me into what BDSM was. Even though it is media, it is a not great interpretation of BDSM, but I still love this movie. like I said, I love James Spader, so James Spader, if you're watching, how you doing, baby? If you're listening or watching, call me anytime. If you're my husband, stop listening to this.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm sure Gabe would not appreciate this.
It's okay. It's fine, okay? It's never gonna happen.
I was like, never know.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so how did you get into BDSM? What was your intro?
I feel like I got into it
Younger than me, younger than teenager, or were you?
I will have to look up the book, but I, like, found a book when I was, like, freshly in high school. It's like 14 or 15.
14 or 15.
Yeah. And like, I literally just thought it was, like, a cute little teen romance story, and it was not.
Newsflash.
It was not.
It wasn't.
But it was really good. I think it was very well written for young adults looking into that, but definitely not 14 or 15 years old. But I will say that I was very mature for my age, so, but I think also books do a lot better of a job with their, like, printing in the beginning of, like, disclaimer, this is for 18 and up, like,
yeah.
So yeah, I read that book, and then it, like, piqued my interest. I started finding more books that had a little bit of baby schmutt, but nothing, like, crazy. I did read 50 Shades. I liked it at the time, but I had already been reading some other stuff that was better.
Yeah.
Also, there was a lot of things in 50 Shades that I really struggled with.
Yeah. There's a lot of, like, I think the thing that irritated me most about that book was, like, the lack of communication.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, what a shit interpretation of BDSM.
And trust that goes into it.
Like, all for the dramatization of the story.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's like, God, we could have a whole episode on media portrayals of BDSM.
We will at some point. It's because it's frustrating. You can't have one conversation without the other conversation. You can't talk about BDSM without the media impacts on it.
Yeah, exactly. But you said, do you remember the name of the book that you had read?
No, I'll have to look it up. I'll find it, but
yeah,
it was very interesting.
Very interesting. Now I want to read it.
Like I said, it was a very easy read for my age at the time.
Was that in your school library? Where did you find it?
No.
Okay, I was about to say, I'm like, damn, what they put in your school
No,
library?
it was, I remember I got it because it was in, like young romance. And that's why I picked it up. Oh. Because my mom has always been a romance novel chica. So, like, you know, she took me to, like, Barnes & Noble. She's getting all these, like, Danielle Steele books and stuff. So I was like, I want to go see what I can read in romance. And so I found, like, young adult romance. And me thinking, like, I'm 14. I'm like, I'm young adult. And, like, I found this book. And, like, I was like, okay, well, this is interesting. I'm here for it.
I did not know that yours was also from a book as well. I think that's a lot of people, though. Listen, I feel like there's a lot of people also that look up, like, I mean, like, I didn't really look up, like, porn until I was a little older, so, like, I never really, and I think that's just from...
So I had such a fear, because I was a LimeWire girl, of, like, the things that could happen to your computer when you, like, go
I
on,
was
like,
always, well, first of all, I had a shared computer with everyone in my family.
Yeah.
So, like... No.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I was like, I already use LimeWire. I see what that stuff can do, and they can detect that it's LimeWire. Like, could you imagine if I was, like, looking at porn? Like, there's no way. Like, it's not
There's
happening.
this hilarious meme. There's this hilarious, like, meme where it's, like, a video I saw, and it's kind of sad because the mom is, like, clearly upset that she clearly saw that her son was looking up porn, but she was calling him out on it, and he's, like, making excuses for it. He's like, Mom, I deleted the virus! Mom, I deleted the virus! It's really bad, but it's really funny,
That's
and
so
it's
funny.
like, that's what I would have been scared of, so no way that I would be looking up porn in my household growing up.
I literally waited till, like, I lived on my own and, like, had my own Wi-Fi and everything.
And even then, I was like, where's the incognito tab? Like,
yes. Now I feel like everybody, like, it doesn't even matter. Like, I love those videos where people are just, like, watching porn in, like, their classes, and they, like, forget to plug in their headphones.
Oh my god, that would be, like, my worst nightmare. Actually, my worst nightmare is listening to a smutty book and my audio on my, like, headphones cut out and go out onto my actual phone.
Oh my gosh, yes.
I had that happen to me at, like, work once. Like, I was working in an office, and thank the gods that it wasn't in, like, a smutty part of the book, but it literally played on full blast for, like, 2 seconds, and my stomach dropped, and I was like, I can never let this happen again. So now whenever I'm listening to, like, any kind of smut in public, I make sure that the volume on my actual phone is, like, at 0, but my headphones are, like, what I want it to be. So please just check yourself for that if you don't want to end up how I ended up.
It's hilarious.
It's embarrassing.
It's how I felt like the only audiobook that I listened to that was, like, schmutty was, like, the A Touch of Darkness. A Touch of Darkness.
Yeah.
And so I would hate when I would, like, get in my car with, like, people, and then suddenly, like, the audiobook would just start playing, and I'm, like, shutting it off. I'm like, stop.
Girl, yeah, you just gotta be, like, very careful. Well, anyway, we would love to hear your guys' feedback. If you feel like we missed anything in this overview, please let us know. We want to know. We want to communicate and connect with you guys. So, like, please email us. Our email that you can reach us out to is morethanmissionary69@gmail.com. That is morethanmissionary69@gmail.com.
Also, just remember, this was, like, a very small glimpse.
Very tiny glimpse, so give us some grace. If you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they didn't talk about this, please let us know. Tell us, be like, hey, can you talk about this in your next episode about BDSM? Like, this is something I'm very interested in. Or, like, if you have stuff that you're like, I know a lot about this, and I would love to share this with you guys, like, write us in. We will start reading people's emails out on our episodes about information that you guys have about BDSM. So
what I would like to challenge our viewers, listeners, go to bdsmtest.org and take your test. Take your test,
yes. It's a bit of a long test, but...
Really? I don't find
I mean,
that.
okay, listen, like, my attention span is not,
Yeah.
it isn't great. So when I say it's a long test, I mean it's like 10 minutes of your time. But
Yeah.
like, but it's like, honestly, it's a great questionnaire. And honestly, if you have a partner and you're comfortable, have you and your partner do it.
Yeah.
It'll probably get you in the mood. So.
I've actually noticed, like, when I was dating, people were just, like, putting their BDSM test answers just, like, on their profiles, which I genuinely loved because I was like, yes,
like, well, that
be open.
makes it nice and easy out of the way. You don't have to worry about whether that's going to be an uncomfortable conversation or not. So that's nice. I'm not on dating apps, so I would not know that. But that is fascinating.
I'm not on them anymore, but yeah, when I was, I didn't see it often, but when I did, I was like, heck yeah, bro. Like,
we love a self-aware person.
Yeah.
We love self-aware kings, queens, and theys and thems. So, okay.
So, thanks for joining us on our discussion about bondage, discipline, domination, submission, sadomasochism, and masochism.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next time on the pod.
See you next time.
Good night, boo-boos. Goodbye, good morning, good evening, good night.